Pat?
Dan?
Yes, good to see you, brother.
It is.
And welcome, Beamed again, into the Chippewas of the Dam,
Very good.
which you've been here many times
Yes.
before.
Oh, yes.
I know you're, as a politician, you're well-traveled, shall we say.
Well, we kind of live in our cars and out of suitcases most of the time. If we're not flying somewhere, we're driving everywhere. So, yes, we're on the road quite a bit. Road warriors.
Exactly. And you got your education at Western.
Yes, I was here in, I think it was 1970. 1970, I think I was
Yeah.
here. 70, 71. Yeah.
Well, tell our viewers a little bit about your life as a politician of the Anishinaabe Nation and of your own community as well, because you were a longtime chief of the Sucker Creek, but you have your own traditional name now.
Yeah, it's Ondek Omnikoning is the name of our community. I was chief there for 17 years and on band council for one term as well. And while I was there, I was also the tribal chairman for the United Chiefs and Councils of Manitoulin.
Yes.
And I also did a couple of stints as the Lake Huron regional chief for the 1850 Robinson-Huron Treaty. So this is my third time around as the Grand Council Chief of the Anishinaabe.
Yes.
I was elected as the Grand Council Chief when I was 27 years old,
One of the
back in 1980.
Yes, I remember that.
And then this is my second 3-year term. I just got acclaimed June 6th, a few weeks ago.
Yes.
So we've been quite busy. There's no question about it.
I remember some of the journalists of the day. Like, I've been in the storytelling business, and I remember some of the journalists of the day saying that the Anishinaabe Nation is in for exciting times under your leadership, your service. And you have been doing some pretty exciting things with the Anishinaabe Nation.
Well, right off the bat, I want to say that these initiatives are community-driven. I think, which is the best part of it. We have, a number of initiatives going on in health, in education, in governance, and in economic development. And we have community engagement sessions, and we have various committees made up of our citizens that really drive the process. I mean, our leadership, of course, directs and oversees what goes on, and we help facilitate the process and bring in the right resource people, and to do the coordination part of it. But at the end of the day, the input is community driven. That's what makes it so exciting, and that's what makes it so strong.
The grassroots, eh?
Yes,
the
exactly.
grassroots, that's what it's all about.
For sure.
Yeah. Mary Lou and I have been involved when you've had different events, for example, education, for example, self-government. When you've come in and had consultations within the Southwest region, and we do an opening, we facilitate with an opening ceremony when it's in the city of London. And yeah, I always thought that the Anishinaabe Nation, Union of Ontario Indians, formerly, you're always doing, you're always thinking ahead, thinking in terms of the future generations.
Well, we've actually had the opportunity to look at various self-government models around the country and even abroad. But I don't even like using that term self-government anymore since the government has tainted that term. We just talk about governance. So we've been working on a restoration of jurisdiction on governance project with.
That's exciting.
It is, and we have a graphic that is like a giant arrow that shows various stages of development. Heading to the eventual day that we'll get there. We're not that far away in terms of some of the basic foundational elements to this process. At our Grand Council on June 6th as well, we did the proclamation of our Chinook Nagawin, which is our great law, which is our Constitution.
And how do you say that again?
Chinook Nagawin,
And what does that mean?
a great law. And
Excellent. I love that.
and I'll tell you, to me, in terms of about 40 years of working for our people, that has been one of my major highlights of seeing that come to fruition.
For sure.
Because how strong it is, because it's the people speaking, and we've come up with something that was based on principles developed by the elders called Nagodwe Win Gadzid and Anishinaabe, and it just talks about we as a family of Anishinaabe, and it reflects a lot about the 7 grandfather teachings, and it talks about the gifts that the Creator gave us, and the fact that we are still a sovereign people, that we are still nations. So that's what makes that thing a very powerful document, and now that'll become the foundation for lawmaking. And we've been working on developing laws on citizenship, and we're even changing that terminology because we get good advice from our people. We're saying "Ibn Dogsijig." In our language, that means those who belong. So those who belong to our communities, they're our citizens. And so we're working on that Benajijig law. We're working on laws in child welfare. And I'm sure at some point in time, we already begin some work on various stages of our own justice models. We've had people trained up in mediation and sentencing circles, that type of thing. But we have a couple of other major initiatives. In addition to the governance initiative, we're working on a restoration of jurisdiction in education, where we're developing our own education authority with a model of creating our own clusters of a number of First Nations that will work with creating their own school authorities to deliver a Anishinaabe way of delivering education services. And that's pretty exciting.
That is.
We also have a major initiative going on in economic development called the Anishinaabe Economic Blueprint. And that started out with a number of key people involved with economic development from right across the country, having a think tank, and then talking about some basic fundamental concepts about how we need to develop our sustainable economies. So we're working on that, and we have a young man by the name of Barrett Dokis who's spearheading that. He's from with the name Dokis. He's from Dokis First Nation, and he has recently formed an economic council made up of key people involved with economic development and leadership that has been very at the forefront of doing economic development in their own community. So, and we're expanding. I'm looking. I just recently asked an economics a fellow with an economics degree. He's in the Anishinaabe from Wasauksing to get involved. He's been involved with very high-level investment banking and that type of thing. So, we need to look at the bigger picture. We can't look small. We have to look at how we're going to get access to a share of the resources like the treaties promise us. So obviously resource revenue sharing is still a big item. Treaty implementation is still a big item, which are all part of this governance process. So those are going to be big priorities. The area of health is another one. I mean, as I go around the communities, health issues are very prevalent, especially with our elders, and of course the problems we're having with prescription drug abuse and just it's really unfortunate that drug abuse has replaced the alcohol abuse to a large extent in our community. So it's a whole new thing that communities are having to grapple with, and it's a tough, very tough situation because you're seeing things like home invasions. You're seeing things like violence, because people have become addicted and they need this so bad, that we've seen, some very violent acts perpetrated because people need to get their fix. So that is something that we gotta tackle, and it's a high priority. But I'm very excited. I mean, there's a lot of other things going on. I mean, we can't forget all the issues. I mean, we're still trying to grapple with the basic needs of our communities, of infrastructure. There's still communities, that have don't have potable water. I have a community there in Mobert near White River. They're going on 5 years of being under a boil water advisory. Folks, it's 2012. They're talking about bringing fresh water all over the world. And the government isn't doing enough right here in their own backyard, to try to address these situations. And of course, going back to the education issue, when we should be promoting education and working to build capacity among our people, the cap on post-secondary education maintains. And I got a phone call the other day, and one of the frontline education workers said, I got to tell 29 students this year that they can't go to college or university. I mean, that's criminal. Every nation of the world, one of the things that they focus on as the highest priority is to develop their human resources that you're going to need for governance, you're going to need for your running your businesses, you're going to need for running all the various institutions, and there's all types of leaders. I mean, the people that do the public works in our communities. You know, I mean, the leaders take the credit for the fancy infrastructure, but at the end of the day, it doesn't get done without the workers. You know, so and they're absolutely crucial to, this thing called governance. And I say, I try not to. Use this terminology too much because at the end of the day, we're talking about community development. It's how we're going to develop our communities with our own government that is suited to meet the needs of our people, the size that we need. Not based on this nonsense of one counselor for every 100 people. Like who the hell dreamed that nonsense up? I mean, if 7 works in your community, it should be 7. That should be community that decides that. And so and the term of office and all of this stuff, and we're working on those types of things in our governance discussions, is to look at synchronizing our elections. We're looking at creating a longer term than the 2-year term, and some communities have already made that move, and we're also looking at trying to encourage that at some point we have like a universal vote for all levels of leadership. So like right now I'm elected by the chiefs. But it really should be by all of the people, and same thing with the regional chiefs of Ontario and the national chief. It should be. I've been a long time proponent, as many other leaders have, of trying to do this, and it's something that will eventually happen, I think. And so we're talking about these things as part of these community engagement sessions. Now, one of the challenges, of course, is we have to decolonize our thinking. And we got to start thinking, about how we can make things happen, not listening to some outside jurisdiction coming in and telling us what to do. It's never worked. I mean, this event here is a perfect example of the resilience of our people. With the Mount Elgin Residential School here operating for over 100 years, and yet, we still have strong Anishinaabe in this territory that have survived that kind of a institution and have come out, as strong people. But we have exciting young leaders right now. And I heard the national chief comment on it here the other day, and I echo those sentiments that young people are not the leaders of the future. They're leaders right now. And we have in our Anishinaabe Nation a youth council that are just so sharp. And we listen to them, and they're part of our talking circle. We have a women's council and elders council that give us very good advice. In fact, in the ceremony when we get being made the Grand Chief and the Grand Council Chief and the Deputy Grand Council Chief, we have 4 woman elders, one from each region, that instruct us in the language about what our roles and responsibilities are. But they also caution us that if we dishonor or don't do something that is detrimental to the role that we play on behalf of our people, they can remove us from that position. And it's a very serious undertaking we do, and these women have that kind of power to remove us as the leaders.
Yes. You also have a publication which I thought was just excellent about how we are all treaty people.
Yes.
Maybe the viewers would like to understand that a little bit.
Well, I think that's what is part of the problem with the whole education system. I mean, I went through the public school system, and it's almost like history started when LaSalle, come on his sailboat down the St. Lawrence. But there was thousands and thousands of years of history long before these guys showed up. And but when the treaty making process took place, it takes two parties to make a treaty, and it isn't just our side that's the treaty partner. So the Crown, and the Crown representing all the people that live here in this country, they're all treaty people, and I don't think they realize that, and so we've been trying to educate the general public that in terms of the relationship that we have here in this country, we're all treaty people.
Right. Well, Pat, I'd like to say Chimigwech, for sharing with us, with our viewers.
Good talking.
It's always good to talk to you. I mean, we go back to the 74,
75.
75
Yeah.
with the Union of Ontario Indians. We both worked in the sports and recreation. We were both field workers.
Well, you can tell, we were recreation guys.
So thanks a lot, brother. Good to see you again. Good to see you again.